Welcome back to the Swampfox Optics YouTube channel, guys. Today we are going over our dope video number 2. So if you have not watched the first video, pause right now and go back and watch that one. It's going to give you some groundwork and give you an idea of where we've come from to get to this point. Stop right now, go watch that, and then I'm assuming that if you're getting to this point, you've either watched that video just now or you've watched in the past. So today we are going over a second method of generating dope. In the first video, we went over how to do that by just measuring how much your bullet falls at given known distances. And today we're going to do that by generating a little dope card. We're going to use some muzzle velocities that we have gathered from this rifle and this ammo. And then we are going to use that dope card to shoot at known distances. And I'll show you guys one of our targets and how we are going to use that to kind of give us a good idea of what's happening. What you're looking at here is a couple different sizes, and what we did is we took essentially what is a 2 MOA target at 100 yards, so 2-inch wide target, and then we created a 2 MOA target for each distance that we're going to be shooting at. So at 200 yards, that's going to be a 4-inch target. At 300 yards, it's going to be a 6-inch target. So we are essentially giving ourselves the same size target at each distance we're shooting at. This is going to help me when I'm shooting as well, because I'm going to be looking at the same size target in my reticle. That's how it works. Target's gonna get bigger as it gets further away, but at the same rate, so that I'm always essentially gonna see a target that appears to be this size at 100 yards. The goal is obviously to keep everything inside that 2 MOA ring. We'll see if we can manage that. The center point there, the yellow portion, this is a 3/4 minute circle. So 3/4 of an inch. This is less of like something I want to keep the rounds inside of, but more to just give me a little bit more refined point of aim as opposed to just a big red blob. So I will be trying to put the center of my reticle right inside that yellow circle, and then hopefully just keep all the rounds inside of these. The rifle we're shooting today, you guys have seen it more times than you can count. You're probably tired of it by now. This is that Radian 16-inch with the Warhawk 2-10 that we've been shooting. This thing works really good for just being accurate and reliable for these videos, especially when we're trying to show something happening on paper. So let's get to shooting and see how it goes. Okay, going hot. Oh, I shot the yellow off. Cool. All right. Okay, 0.4 mils, 200 yards. Okay, 1.2. Okay, 2.1. 2.1 for 400 yards. It's 2.1. Have a little bit more wind. So hopefully I'll make a slight wind call adjustment to try and keep this on paper. Put 500. Okay, if we learned anything from the last little group camera, so I need to commit to the wind call and not change it halfway through. Off the range, and we're going to go over each of our targets. Obviously you guys already saw the results. We're going to throw them all up here and talk about each one. So 100 yards is our confirmation. Looks good, happy with that. 200 yards, I was still shooting point of aim, point of impact with our elevation dialed up, so wasn't accounting for any of the wind. Didn't really feel like there was that much. I definitely could have been wrong, but so we saw, you know, a little push down, a little push to the right, but still a pretty tight group. And then moving on to 3, this is still a very good group, I would consider, for what we're trying to show, which is that the ballistic data that we gathered by getting some of that info is pretty darn good. So, you know, we're looking at a good group elevation wise, kept everything inside the 2 MOA target that we were shooting at, even center punched one. I don't know which of the rounds that was. We could play it back and find out. I'm sure you guys probably do because you saw it. Still, data is looking really good. So moving out to 400 yards now. So also still, you know, a group that we are really not unhappy about. 400 yards, this really is a group that, you know, like I said, I'm not unhappy about. Elevation looks really, really good. I was accounting for a little bit of wind here, and I really couldn't decide if I needed to be kind of aimed here or out to here, and so I was kind of shifting back and forth, which could have caused these rounds to move kind of left and right. But in terms of our ballistic calculations, you know, this is shooter error, and this is good data that we gathered via our ballistic calculator and our chronograph. You know, I'm really not unhappy with this. Still not unhappy with the performance of the rifle and the round at that distance, right? Like that's still, you know, really decent hits. And especially if I can learn how to make a little bit better wind calls, I think I could even tighten this up a little bit more. Out to 500 now. You know, definitely, I think this is also more of a wind issue than anything else, right? Our elevation still looks really good for just trusting the ballistic calculator and the chronograph that we found, right? So this is our 5th round, by the way. This right here is a stapler hole, but so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and again, this could be mostly chalked up to just my lack of ability to call the wind correctly. Certainly something I can improve on. When you shoot at paper, it gets really hard to ignore your errors in shooting. When you're shooting at steel, you know, a sound means good and a miss you forget about because you can't see where it went. But when you're missing on paper, you're really kind of confronted with, hey, I missed that shot, right? And I can see where it goes, and I might not love that I kind of pulled all these to the left, but it shows, you know, there's some room for improvement and at least my ability to call wind. But for the purposes of our test today, you know, I'm really not unhappy with how this looks, right? Our elevation's good at all of the distances that we shot at, and I definitely have something to take away for myself, or something to learn and get better at. We did also gather chrono data for every round that we fired. So we have 25 round group for our chrono data, and I did that because I wanted to be able to identify if we had a big flyer up or down, if it was a velocity thing, right? If we just had a round that was overcharged and really sent it flying, or one that was undercharged. We didn't really see any issues like that on our targets, so I'm not going to bother throwing that up. As you can see, we have now gone over 2 ways to gather, you know, essentially what you'd call your ballistic data or your data on previous engagements. And the reason for this is not everybody has access to the more high-tech equipment, but as you can see, if this is something you're serious about, this stuff is absolutely worth the investment, right? A good chronograph is worth the investment, and good ammo is worth the investment, because you can really start to get dialed in and know what your rifle is going to do at the distances that you decide that you feel like shooting at, you know, out to 500 for us today, but maybe further in the future. If you guys enjoyed this video, please let us know down below by liking and leaving a comment. If there's something we missed, or even something that you feel like adding that you think is helpful, please do. At the end of the day, we are all learning at every point in our levels of shooting, and if there's something I missed or something that I could have said better, please don't feel bad about dropping a comment and letting us know, because the reality is that you might not be the only person that's going to learn something from that comment. If you guys are looking to pick up a Warhawk 2-10 like you've been seeing in a lot of these more educational videos, or any other optic for any other gun you guys might have sitting around in your safe, check out swampfoxoptics.com to find a great value optic that I'm sure will do the trick for you. So thank you guys for watching, and we will see you in the next video.